The real way to survive and thrive as a new Etsy seller isn't by going viral, niching down, or running ads. If you've been listing product after product with zero sales, here's the real reason your shop isn't working and what to do instead. These are the things I focused on to get my Etsy shop to over $27,000 in sales as a homeschooling stay-at-home mom, and I also advise my students to do, which is helping them make sales as well. So if you have limited time to work on your Etsy shop, but you still want to make sales, then these are the strategies you're going to want to use. Most new Etsy sellers think they need to grow a following to make sales, but you don't need to post on social media at all to make money. Unlike Instagram or TikTok, Etsy isn't about gaining traction, it is a search engine. People aren't looking for entertainment, they're looking for solutions. When I first started my Etsy shop, I didn't have a single social media account tied to my shop. I was a stay-at-home mom with a 7-month-old and a 3-year-old, and I was trying to make money only working while my kids were sleeping. I had gained over 30 pounds with my second pregnancy, so I didn't feel comfortable posting on social media or doing anything that would show my face. Even thinking about social media felt overwhelming, especially since I couldn't film in the mornings because it was still dark outside and my kids were still asleep. So instead, I focused on getting found in Etsy search results. And that's how I made my first sale, and then another, and then another, all without a single post, a single like, or a single follower. Most people quit Etsy because they're overwhelmed with trying to do all the wrong things. Social media can make you feel busy and productive, but if it's not bringing in buyers, then it's really just wasting your time and your energy. When you learn how Etsy's search engine works, and you can create products that are matching what people are already searching for, you can make sales faster and with way less stress. You can go to Etsy right now and type in the type of digital product you want to create and see what pops up in the search results. What products have the bestseller badge or the popular now badge? This is Etsy telling you what people are buying. Most new sellers skip this step, so if you just do this alone, you will be ahead of 90% of beginners who are focused on doing all the wrong things. So if you've been putting off starting your shop because you don't want to be on camera or you don't want to post on Instagram, you are actually at an advantage. So one of the hardest pills to swallow as a new Etsy seller is that your first few products probably won't sell, but that does not mean that you failed. Most new Etsy sellers pour hours into their first digital product, changing the colors, writing the perfect title, obsessing over the listing photos, only to get zero sales. But the reality is your first product is not supposed to be perfect. It's a test, a starting point. It's how you learn what works by seeing what doesn't work. I actually did get lucky with my very first digital product. I listed it without overthinking, no branding, no social media, just a simple digital product I made in the morning while my kids were still sleeping. And somehow it took off. That one digital product has made me over $10,000 on Etsy alone. And that doesn't even include the sales that I made when I had it listed in my Shopify store. But I'll be honest with you, that is rare. I've created plenty of other products since then that have completely flopped. And if I had expected every single product to perform like that first one, I would have felt like a failure every time something didn't sell. That very first product gave me proof that Etsy works, proof that people are buying. And it showed me that even if most of your listings flop, it only takes one product to change everything. Expecting your first product to be a bestseller is like expecting your first pancake to be perfectly golden. It almost never is. If you let one flop stop you, you'll never get to the good part. But if you treat those early listings like experiments, you'll gather data, build confidence, and start creating products people actually want to buy. So look at one of your listings that hasn't sold yet. Ask yourself, what could I test? Could you change the title, the keywords, the colors, or the fonts? Make one change and track the difference in your views and sales over the next 30 days. Did you get more views? Did you get more favorites? Did you make a sale? The more you test, the faster you'll learn how to create best-selling products. So for this one, you've probably heard that you need to pick a niche to succeed on Etsy. But niching your entire shop too early can actually slow down your sales, especially when you're just getting started. Most new sellers feel pressure to pick a super specific niche right away, like choosing one product type, one audience, or one aesthetic to stick to no matter what. But when you do that, you lock yourself into a direction before you know what buyers actually want. And that's risky because you built your shop completely around an untested idea. I've worked with people who spent weeks creating a branded Etsy shop. Everything matched, the colors, the fonts, the vibe, but the products didn't sell. And now they feel stuck stuck, like they couldn't pivot or test anything new because it didn't fit their niche. Meanwhile, the sellers making multiple sales were the ones experimenting. They were testing and they were paying attention to what got results. If you try to niche too early, you're building a shop based on assumptions instead of data. And if your guess is wrong, you could end up wasting months creating products for an audience who doesn't exist or for an audience who doesn't want what you're selling. And to make it even worse, you might feel too boxed in to even change your direction. So if you've been feeling stuck trying to pick a niche before you even open your shop, take a pause. Instead, make 2 to 3 different types of products you're interested in making and go ahead and list them. Watch what gets views, what gets favorites, and what makes sales. You can always delete products or change them to fit your shop aesthetic later. But when you're getting started, you want to let buyer behavior guide your direction. You don't need the perfect niche to get started. You just need to list products and pay attention to what's working. Now, if you are staying up late, juggling kids, and trying to fit in Etsy whenever you can, you're definitely not alone. But working harder isn't what brings in sales. Working smarter does. Most new sellers think the only way to grow is to hustle non-stop, cranking out products, editing listings, watching endless tutorials, and switching strategies every other week. But that pace isn't sustainable, especially if you're a parent, working full-time, or building your shop during nap time like I was. What creates long-term success on Etsy isn't hustle, it's systems. Simple, repeatable routines that save you time and let your shop run without you hovering over it 24/7. When I first started, I had 2 little kids and could only work in tiny pockets of time. I wasn't staying up until 2 a.m. or working nonstop. What helped me grow wasn't doing more, it was figuring out what to do on repeat. I created a workflow that let me make products faster, list them in batches, and reuse listing photos with small changes. I wasn't constantly reinventing the wheel. I just had a system that fit into my life, and that's what helped me stay consistent without burning out. Hustle fades fast, especially when you're not seeing instant results. And when you're drained, it's easy to think maybe Etsy just doesn't work. But if you build a system that works even if you're tired, distracted, or short on time, your shop keeps moving, even when life gets messy. This week, look at the steps you repeat often, like creating product listings, designing listing photos, or uploading new products. Write down your process and ask yourself, what can I template? What can I batch? What can I automate? One small system can save you hours and free up your time so you can focus on things that actually make sales. You don't have to work 10 hours a day. You don't have to chase Etsy trends. If you build a simple system you can stick to, even if it's just a few hours a week, you'll start stacking small wins that eventually turn into big results. So you don't need a niche, a following, or a perfect plan to start. If you focus on getting found in search results, testing different products, and building simple systems you can stick to, you can start making daily sales in just a few hours a week. But here's the catch. Most new sellers get stuck because they rely on assumptions or outdated advice. And that's why sales don't come fast enough. In this video, I share even more strategies that will blow up your Etsy sales. And the best part is they're easy to implement no matter where you're starting at.